All right, let's just dive right into this explainer for Chronicle XLVI because, wow, we are dropping literally right into the middle of absolute chaos today. We're picking up the story of the Knollsbane in a moment where, honestly, survival just seems completely out of reach. This chapter doesn't waste a single second, and you know what? Neither will we. Let's get into it.
Right off the bat, the medieval fantasy scene is set perfectly. I mean, you can practically hear the clash of weapons, right? You can see the flashes of magic just lighting up that dark, ancient, dwarven stone. The Knoll's Bane is fighting with absolutely every ounce of strength they have left against the unstoppable Dugar commander, General Durog. And let me tell you, this dark dwarf is a terrifying force. He just refuses to fall. Every single time the heroes actually manage to land a hit, he just answers it with another crushing, brutal swing of his weapon. He's pushing the whole company to the absolute edge.
Which brings us to Cedric's desperate gambit. So Cedric transforms into this mighty Allosaurus, just an enormous primal beast, and he throws his massive weight against the Dark Dwarf to try and just halt his relentless advance. But Durog? He doesn't even flinch, no way! He weathers the blows and strikes back with such terrifying force that he actually shatters Cedric's magical transformation with one single crushing blow. The magic is completely broken, snapping Cedric right back to his true form. And before the druid can even catch his breath, Durog strikes again. Cedric just collapses, completely helpless on the cold, unforgiving stones. Now, what's really incredible about this next part is the pacing. With Cedric's life literally slipping away, this whole desperate rescue is measured in mere heartbeats. Sunny is not about to let the general dictate this fight. So, heartbeat 1. She plants 2 perfectly placed stones from her slingshot directly into Durog's eyes, blinding him. But, Durog has these monstrous instincts. Heartbeat 2. He blindly strikes right at where Cedric is lying. It's a devastating, lethal blow. Recognizing there's no way she can run to him in time, Sunny suddenly remembers a forgotten magic scroll. Heartbeat 3. She unfurls a scroll of Misty Step, vanishing and popping up right beside Cedric. Heartbeat 4. She casts Cure Wounds, pumping healing magic into him right before his final breath. And Heartbeat 5. She physically drags the battered druid away from the blinded general. Seconds. So, while Cedric struggles back to his feet, totally saved by Sunny's heroics, he turns to help Roberto, their fallen swordsman. But as he scans the battlefield, his eyes drift up to the balcony. Now remember, this is where the young lizard folk Ord had spent almost the entire battle just crying quietly after watching Taelenor disappear with Tamakti. But now, the balcony is completely empty. Somewhere in the middle of all this total chaos, Ord has just vanished without a trace. And this next move really just brilliantly illustrates the sheer desperation of the moment. Even after being battered and, well, nearly killed, Cedric isn't willing to go down without a fight. After getting Roberto healed up and back on his feet, Cedric summons 8 smoky methods to just swarm around the blinded General Durog. It's this wild, desperate, tactical move to crowd the Dark Dwarf and basically buy the bruised and broken heroes just a little more time to survive. But the battle presses on, and it leads to this truly heartbreaking climax. Sunny, who just saved Cedric, abandons caution completely. She actually rushes this terrifying monster with nothing more than her bare fists. And honestly, against all reason, she almost pulls it off. The battered general actually staggers. For one single heartbeat, it genuinely looks like victory belongs to the heroes. But then, a strange surge sweeps through Durog's body. It's this unnatural second wind with just frightening intensity. His strength comes back with this renewed fury, and suddenly the battlefield is utterly hopeless. One by one, their resistance just crumbles, and the members of the Knollsbane fall unconscious. The Dark Dwarf wins. Okay, so with our heroes drifting in darkness, we have to shift the tone drastically. We're moving away from the bloody stones of the battlefield and stepping into the cold, very calculated authority of the Dorgar War Council. And the massive irony here? The heroes' fierce assault on General Durog didn't stop the Dorg at all. Actually, it forced their leadership to accelerate their plans. Airedale is continuing its march toward war, and this council is now convening way ahead of schedule.
Inside that council chamber, we get this really chilling exchange. General Durog walks in, and his wounds from the battle are freshly bandaged. And accompanying Tamatio into the room is the captured elven ranger turned paladin, Taelenor. Seeing Durog's mangled face, Taelenor dryly remarks, "So, my friends did that to you." And Durog's response is just pure arrogance. He admits they fought a bit better than expected, but he totally brushes off these severe injuries, claiming he just wanted to enjoy the rush of battle. He boldly declares his ultimate victory over them like it was nothing.
So let's take a look at the grand strategic peril facing the surface world right now, because it is flawlessly on schedule. Chief Scientist Snickrick the Flesh Teamer reports his monstrous experiments are all wrapped up and already heading out to soften up Hammerdeep's defenses. General Durog confirms his invasion forces battle-ready and literally ready to march within the hour. And then Tamakti reports that Hammerdeep is still totally isolated behind shattered walls with its bridge broken from those earlier Chimera attacks. Everything, and I mean everything, is going exactly according to their dark design.
But then, the chamber doors open one final time, and in an instant, every single voice in that council falls completely silent. The atmosphere just shifts to this intense, heavy suspense. The Supreme Leader, the High General himself, has finally arrived. Talinor turns to look up this newcomer, and the Elven Paladin completely loses his breath.
Because standing at the head of the Great War Table isn't some unknown conqueror or, some ancient monster. It is Henrik Featherstep, the respected woodsman, the leader of the Emerald Druid Circle, Cedric's own missing father. I mean, wow. The very man whose disappearance started the Knollsbane on this incredibly dangerous journey into the mountain is actually High General Throsgal, the mastermind of the entire Duigard invasion. It is an absolutely massive twist that completely recontextualizes everything we know.
So, with this calm, frankly frightening authority, High General Thraskel, Cedric's father, takes Snickrick, Durog, and Tamakti's reports, and then he reveals the final piece of their terrifying puzzle. Uzgul has successfully torn open a massive fissure from the Underdark straight up to the surface world. Now, doing this caused an immense power drain that left their master weakened for days, but the timetable hasn't changed at all. Hammerdeep is doomed to fall to the monsters. And once it does, the vast armies of the Underdark are going to march right through that fissure and conquer the lands above. And then, almost like it's just an afterthought, Thrascal addresses the fate of the unconscious Knowles Vane. You can almost picture this twisted smirk on Snickrick's face as Cedric's own father delivers this decree. He orders that the prisoners who attacked Durog will not be executed. Nope. Instead, they're going to hold games. He commands the city to gather and the prisoners to fight within the Colosseum. So with one single command, the fate of our battered heroes shifts violently from immediate execution to becoming unwilling gladiators for the entertainment of Arendelle. Which leaves us staring down this absolutely massive question. Can the Knollsbane even survive the deadly games of the Arendelle Colosseum? Think about it. They are broken, they're captured, they're missing allies, and they are dealing with the devastating revelation that Cedric's own father is the architect of the world's doom. How in the world are they going to survive these brutal subterranean arenas? Well, we are going to have to find out in the next chapter of this dark fantasy epic. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will definitely see you next time as we continue to break down this incredible story.